I recently did a photo shoot that was kind of a hybrid shoot of sorts, where I captured two models, and 1/3 of the images I captured on film, and the other 2/3 I captured with a regular digital camera. So these are the cameras that I use to capture the film. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because when I said I captured some of the images on film, a lot of people were asking me questions and just kind of wondering about the film and what kind of film I use and what kind of camera I use for it. So I just thought I'd do a post here that kind of gives a rundown. So one of the cameras that I used was this very old Pentax Spotmatic. This is, back in the 60s. This camera might have been made about the year I was born. So this is a pretty old camera, and I shot with color film. I'm going to talk about this in another video. So what I want to focus on today are these Canon EOS 650s. And all three of these film bodies are exactly the same. And I keep them numbered so I know which one is which. So I kind of wanted to talk about the EOS 650 and just explain a little bit about it. And if you're a Canon shooter, you're familiar with this EOS or EOS. Some people say it differently. The EOS line of cameras. It still exists to this day, and it's their, it is their line of camera. The 650 was manufactured 1987 to 1989. So this camera was manufactured between those 2 years, and that's when they stopped making them. But the 650 was also the very first camera that featured the EF lens mount, which Canon still uses today. So the interesting thing about this is that all of the new L lenses, with all their technology, all their, sharp image stabilization and the crisp autofocusing, can be used on these cameras. And that's kind of interesting, to take a camera from 1987 and to put a lens with today's technology and capture with film. So the other interesting thing, which is really just kind of a piece of trivia, is that the Canon EOS 650 was the very first camera that captured the image that was the very first image that was uploaded to the internet. So just a little bit of trivia. The very first image that was uploaded to the internet was done in the 90s, and this these cameras were end of manufactured in 89. So with that said, I just thought I'd move on and talk a little bit about the film. So as we open up the back of it, for people who've never seen a film camera, the very first thing they do, and this is like the younger folks, they look and there's no screen. There's no screen back here, and that's kind of funny. And the other funny thing is, I'm so used to shooting with digital that now when I shoot, I tend to look at the back of the camera, and there's really nothing to see. So film. The big question I get about film is film cheaper now that film is kind of outdated? And the big question, or the big answer, is no, it's not cheaper at all. These are the films that I use, and I use this one. Some people say it differently: Sign Still, Cine Still, 50 daylight. So if you're familiar with ISO setting on your camera, the lower the ISO setting, like 100, 200, as opposed to 500 or 4000, the lower the setting gives you a clean, crisp image with no noise in it. So with the film, it used to be ASA, now they do call it ISO. So this is 50. 50 being a low number, shoots a very clean look. And this is a color film, and it has, like all films, they have distinct characteristics that make us want to shoot certain things with certain kinds of film. This is the black and white film that I use. It's Ilford Delta 100. I absolutely love this film for the black and white and shooting people. If I was shooting landscapes, maybe I would shoot something else. If I was shooting street photography, I probably would shoot something else. But for capturing people's faces, such as a model or a portrait shoot, this Delta 100 is beautiful film. Same goes for this. It's great for capture. I wouldn't shoot landscapes with this film, but for capturing people, I would, you know, shoot with that. So with that said, let's go over here and look at some of the images. So here's model Nicole Gallagher, and she's dressed up in a 1920s theme. That's what the shoot was. And this is the image straight out of camera. And this is the image that has been tweaked a little bit, if the camera can get that, to get rid of the yellowish color cast that was basically throughout the whole image, but it irritated me looking at it on her face and her hair. No other retouching was really done other than in Lightroom. Yes, I used the computer to edit this. I did not use Photoshop, but I did use software. And you say, well, how do you do that with film? Because a lot of people don't know. So how it works is, once you shoot your film and you then send it off to be developed. So let's get a roll of film out here so we can see. This is the Ilford Delta 100. So once you shoot the film, you can develop it yourself if you have a darkroom. I know how to develop, but I don't have a darkroom. So, and I don't shoot enough film to keep a darkroom around. So I send it off to a place called, well, appropriately, thedarkroom.com. So I send it off to them, and this is what I get. I get back, and again, for younger folks who've never really known too much about film, this is what you get back. You get back the film. That's this film here with all of this covering taken off of it, and they put it in sleeves to protect it so you don't scratch it. And these are your negatives. This is the actual film. So the film is then scanned with modern technology today. We can scan it to a disc, and the disc arrives. It has a contact sheet that kind of shows little thumbnails of all the images that are on this disc. And then this disc can be loaded into your computer, and you can edit using Photoshop or any imaging software that you would use to edit a photo. So I did very basic editing to this because I didn't really feel I needed to go and do anything else. There was no blemishes to edit. But what I did want to point out, that capturing with the modern lenses, the detail that is in this banister or this railing, the wrinkles in her gloves, even the evergreen over here, and of course the detail in this beautiful hat, the pearls, that's all captured with a modern lens, but put to film, which I think is kind of nice. Again, this is just a novelty thing. This is just something fun. It's also challenging to get your exposure right. I did shoot in manual mode and everything like that, used light meters, stuff like that to make sure it's right, because again, you can't look on the back of the camera to see what you got. You got to get it right in camera, and you can then tweak it a little bit. So with that said, I just thought I have to load this camera up anyway, so I thought I would show you how it's done. You got a little tail sticking out here, and it just kind of pops in, and you pull it across. There's a little wheel, or a little tooth on a wheel that catches that, and then you just close that up. And when you turn the camera on, it advanced, and I don't know if the camera can catch this, but it's at number 1 and it's ready to go. It's in the wrong mode. It needs to be over in manual mode, and we turn it back off. So that's it. That's how I shoot film. Again, with the old with the old Spotmatic, it doesn't advance by itself as these cameras do. There's a mechanism on the back that you have to advance it. And there's also a little mechanism here that you have to rewind the film when it's done, as opposed to these units that rewind themselves. And why do I have three? Well, on a modern digital camera, you can change your ISO with each individual shot that you're taking, or you can set it to auto ISO. With these, once you load a roll of film in, you're stuck with that ISO until the end of the roll. So what I will do, I will put black and white in one, I will put the Cine 50 in another, and then the third one, I will have maybe a different ISO or ASA. With that said, I number these so I know what is in each one, but I also number them because each unit shoots differently. These are old cameras. They shoot. Number 3 is the one. Let's see, that's number 1. See, from the front, they all look the same. But number 3 is the worst shooting. It tends to give me a bad image about every 5 or 6 images. I'll get one where the shutter doesn't go at the right speed that it was supposed to. For $19 each on eBay, it's not a big cost. But number 1 is my go-to for color, and number 2 is my go-to for black and white. So that's how I shoot film. That's what it's all about. When people ask me questions, you can I'll just refer them to come to this post, and it kind of explains how I shoot film and the reason why I do it. The reason why I do it is just fun. It's challenging, and I incorporated it into an actual photo shoot just for the challenge and to use up some old film that I had laying around, because film does get old after a while. I keep it in the refrigerator so that it keeps it nice, but eventually you do have to use it, get rid of it, and get new. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Thanks for stopping by, and hit subscribe, hit like. I'll be talking more about the Spotmatic when I get the rolls back. I haven't sent them off yet because I was doing another photo shoot that I just haven't finished up a roll. When I get that all back, we'll talk about the Spotmatic. But these images, I keep going back to these. I just love them. I really do. And this is the actual image out of camera that's not cropped. That's cropped. And she just looks amazing on film, on print, and that is like the end all for photography for me, is to actually hold the print. To hold the print in the hand or to have it in a book or in a portfolio is just an amazing thing. Again, hit like, hit subscribe. Thanks for coming by.